Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Laura Skinner, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind successful startups, the challenges faced along the way, and of course, the strategies driving their future expansion. Today, we're excited to have Richard White, the CEO and founder of Fathom. Richard will be sharing more about his founding story and giving us a glimpse into their plans for future growth. So let's jump right in, Richard, and welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, cool. So take us back to the beginning. A, what inspired you to start? And for the listeners, what do you solve within the marketplace?
Sure. So Fathom is an AI note taker, joins your Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams meetings, takes notes for you, puts those notes in your CRM automatically, puts them in your Slack channels, et cetera, et cetera. Number one rated on G2, number one on HubSpot, number one on Zoom Marketplace. We started this.
What a sentence.
Yeah, we started this in 2020. And I think the inspiration for it was I was just on Zoom meetings. I think like a lot of folks were in 2020. And I was actually doing research for a different product that I was working on. And was just kind of, you know what, this other product I'm working on is interesting, but gosh, trying to talk to someone and take notes at the same time is one of those painful things I do all day, especially as someone who's in back-to-back meetings. And it was like, you take notes. I think we all are familiar with taking notes, and I think we're all gotten pretty good at it, but it's really stressful because you're worried you're going to miss something. Yeah. And then you look at your notes. I'd look at my notes 2 weeks later and be like, I don't remember exactly which conversation this was. Like, just so much information was lost. And I was on the meeting. And then I also, for a period, my last company ran my sales team. My background's engineering and product design. Like in a startup, you sometimes end up running different teams when you're between leadership. And so I ran the sales team for a bit. And that let me see the other side of it, where the number one thing I struggle with as a sales leader was I'm getting these notes from my sales team about prospects and deals and varying degrees of quality. Even the best written notes still left me asking a lot of questions, right? What are they, and just really wanting to like really hear what the customer said. And so they put those things together, and we just had this thesis in 2020 that, gosh, aren't we going to get to a place pretty soon with transcription and AI that we can do this really well? And let's go build a business around this. And let's also be the first people to give a product like this away for free. And if we can do that, then we think there's a really interesting big business to build here.
So good. So it's so interesting because I feel like Gong may have done something like similar in terms of transcribed it and Zoom. I personally just seen Fathom everywhere. So is it the fact that it plugs it back into your CRM, or like what kind of, and this is completely off topic, but I'm just actually interested because I've been in this space for the last 10 years. What is it that you would say stands you out from the market? Because I honestly see it in all of my Zoom meetings and I'm back to back all day.
I think one of the things, Gong existed when we started the company. And so I actually did a bunch of research with Gong users, was super aware of the company. It's got a great brand and used by a lot of sales teams. And we, in our research, stumbled across a couple of different things. We thought, gosh, it's a great product. It was actually a little slow to get you your results. It takes half an hour to get you your notes. It was mostly used by managers, not by the people on the meetings.
Okay.
And so one was like, let's build something for people on the meetings. And then we had this thesis that like, we think this is bigger than sales, right? Gong was kind of built for sales. It's a really expensive product. So really only salespeople at mid-market or enterprise companies could afford it. Again, what if we give this away for free? Because we think everyone can use this. And I think that was a big differentiator in the beginning. And now I think we lean a lot on, we have a whole AI team that really focuses on making the meeting summaries you get probably the most accurate that you can find in the market.
Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I just wanted to ask that because, like, from my experience, like, because Zoom even do it a little bit, right? Because I'll log out of Zoom and it will note take it, but I totally understand what you mean, and it's a genuine pain point for myself. So it's a cool solution. So talk to us a little bit about where you are today and what the journey's been like, because you've raised, I've done my research, but just for essentially the listeners on like where you are today, because you've obviously been very successful, and just, yeah, I would love to speak through that.
Yeah, we had an interesting thesis, which was sitting in 2020, we think transcription is going to be free in the future. It was about $3 an hour when we started, which you extrapolate out to be like the average user in 2020 is going to cost you about $50 a month in just transcription cost alone.
Yeah.
And also in 2020, we really didn't have Gen AI like we do now. But
insane, isn't it? It's just
right. And I remember we put AI in our product name in 2021. And I had a bunch of investors freak out on me and be like, don't do that. People don't like AI. And I was like, no, people don't like the first generation of AI, which was admittedly not very good. If we remember the 2015 to 2020 era AI products, it's kind of hard to remember, but they were really pretty bad. It's like Siri and stuff like this.
Which is just annoying.
Right. Yeah. It's like it fails more than it succeeds. And so we had this thesis around that. And part of that thesis was, if we can give away for free, then it's going to be in your meetings. It's going to create this like natural virality. You're going to bring your meetings. You have to explain to people in the meetings why it's there. Oh, and if it's free, that's going to likely turn into kind of a quasi sales pitch for us in a way that it wouldn't if it was cost a lot of money. And so we had this big thesis that we want to go first prove that we can build a really good individual product for people that are on the meetings that takes great notes for them, that makes them less stressed, and that they refer happily to all the people they meet with. And it grows very quickly. And then, on the back of that, at some point, there's going to be this natural consolidation where it's like some manager's going to show up and say, hey, I would also love to see, I'm not in these meetings. I'd love to get insights from these meetings without having to listen to all the recordings, right? And so there's a natural product that we call Team Mission that we can sell to the manager that allows us to have this kind of really unique model where we give the core product away for free to the folks on the meetings to start building up this corpus of data that then when a manager shows up, they don't have to go through an implementation cycle. They just go say, oh, look, I've already got 5 people on my team using this. They love it. Oh, there's also some different features for me. Great. And then we sell it to them. So it's a pretty effective model, and it allows us really to focus on growth first. Because I was always saying, if we can't figure out the growth part, I don't care about monetization. So we actually didn't charge for Fathom until 2 years into running the company, and really close to 3 years in, actually 2 years post launch, 3 years into running the company. And that was we only care about building this like viral lead engine really first. And if we couldn't do that, we didn't care about what revenue we could generate off it.
I love this. I was just literally going to ask that. When did you start charging for it? So talk me through like how you acquire your customer base. So I understand that you've done this like freemium model for the first couple of years to build transaction, to build customer value, feedback loop, etc. But how are you actually going about getting your clients now? Is it just word of mouth referrals and just like you've created such a wave, or do you actually have a strategic approach to acquiring new customers?
Yeah, it's all through the product and almost all through word of mouth. We get a decent amount of traffic from review sites like G2 and Google Chrome Store. And we actually were the number one rated product on all of G2. If your listeners aren't familiar, G2 is like Yelp for software.
Yeah.
They like put our logo up at Times Square. They didn't tell us this. They're like, oh, by the way, put your logo up at Times Square because you had the highest ratings of any product in 2023. We have about 4,000 reviews, perfect 5.0 rating. And so we get a decent amount of traffic from that, but mostly it just comes from, like I said, people are in meetings and they're bringing in their Fathom to take notes for them. And people are like, what's that thing? And they're like, oh, it's Fathom. It's great. It takes notes for me, saves me a bunch of time, and it's free. And we just see that be such a powerful thing.
Yeah, honestly, this is blowing my mind. So, is there a gap in the top of the funnel? Do you need to explore any other strategies, or are you saying that this just is scalable and you almost can predict this just from basically the product-led growth?
It operates at such a scale that it is pretty predictable. That said, there's a lot of things we do. It's funny. We always like to joke we have half a person in marketing right now. It's this guy, Jan. He's awesome. He's based out of Berlin, does a lot of partnership stuff with us.
I love that.
And when I tell people we have half a person in marketing, I was like, yeah, we don't do much marketing. But then I will spend 4 minutes rattling off all the marketing programs we do. So we do a lot of marketing programs. There's a handful of things we try to do at the top of the funnel to get more for user signups. But a lot of our work really is there's a whole separate machine that figures out how to get you, once we see 3, 5, 10 users at a company, how do we map that company, find the right leader? That could be a founder, that could be an operations person, could be a sales, customer success leader, to go say, hey, look, you've got 3, 5, 10 people on your team. Again, we've got this other product that helps you get the highlights from those meetings, those customer calls without having to do a bunch of work. And so it's a fun business because you get to hunt inside this pool for warm prospects already. We don't do any cold outbound.
Every sales rep's dream. I feel like I have the job. I honestly feel like I have the dream job because of our success. People obviously just come to us, and I feel like I've got this dream sales rep job, but maybe you guys do as well. Talk to me a little bit about... Our
sales team eats well, I think.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, have you explored paid media? Because the one thing that's like drumming, like all I'm hearing is, imagine if you could just get an ad that just is in front of someone my age, my demographic, that utilizes Zoom all day, every day. And it's, hey, this is free, sign up. Like a short form funnel ad, like 60 to 120 seconds. That would be killer, no?
Yeah, I think we're at this point where, since the core machinery works so well, anything we could do to get more folks to the top of the funnel. And again, it's an easy sales pitch to a certain degree, right? Like
this is what I mean. I would like literally just like, we work with clients, so many clients that are like not failing, but like need help in aggressively scaling their like MRR and stuff through different approaches. But it even applies to you guys in the sense that I'm just thinking how powerful a paid media campaign would actually be.
Yeah, I think I said this theory that like, marketing is an accelerant. I think of marketing and advertising, stuff like that, is like gasoline, right? And if
100%.
If you pour it on before you have product market fit, as likely to set yourself on fire as you are to like get the moon. But once you
So
have some
refreshing to hear
escape,
that.
once you have some escape velocity and like you have a core channel that's working, and you've got things like I said, the ratings, the reviews that we've got, like an 82 NPS, that sort of stuff. Once you
So
have the
good.
raw materials of that stuff, I do feel like that is a rocket booster, and that's we're actually hiring. I mentioned we've got half person in marketing. We have a goal to build out that marketing team pretty aggressively over the next 6 to 9 months. So that is
Because
certainly something we're looking at.
yeah, for sure. Because I shouldn't really, I can talk about this, I guess, but the funnel's like not that much. If you used a short form funnel, right, rather than all these complex like LinkedIn ads and Google ads and webinars and the ROI and etc. If you're giving away a free product, like a short form funnel ad, you only need to be chucking in like $30 to $100 a day to do sprints to test the metrics. And then I
Yep.
honestly just feel like that would unlock everything for you.
Yeah, there's some experiments we're doing around this, and like we're pretty excited about it.
I love that. So talk to us a little bit about the scalability then. So where is this going to go? What you've obviously had a really successful up until now. What's the goals over the next 6 to 12 months? I appreciate obviously doubling down on marketing is huge, but any other areas?
I mean, what's really exciting for us is I mentioned at the beginning our two theses around transcription costs going to zero, which they basically have,
Yeah.
and AI getting really good. And last about a year ago, when GPT-4 came out, is when we got to this point where, oh my gosh, the AI can now write better notes than almost any human I know. And this is our theory. Our theory is always we're going to build the hard stuff. We're going to build a good user experience. We're going to build out distribution mechanisms. We're going to build out the infrastructure, like actually reliably recording these meetings and getting you the notes within 30 seconds of the call ending across all three major platforms is actually the hard part, right? And so we
For
did all that
sure.
stuff. And so now we get to just basically every time a new AI comes out, it's like we get to drop a new engine in the car sort of thing. And so last December, we dropped in GPT-4 level summaries. We saw every metric we had improve because people were just, oh my gosh, these notes are so good. And now I'm really excited because the AI advancements we've seen in 2024 allow us to do things across multiple meetings and really do things for kind of managers and leadership. So we have a deal view in Fathom where you can see every meeting from a specific deal that your team's working or
I
opportunity.
was just going to say, how amazing would it be? Because I'm a rep, right? On the other
Yeah.
half of doing the podcast, is if I could go in and it would have a line of like individual. I would literally just going to say, imagine if you had a bit of your product that had your deal and I get weirdly excited about this kind of stuff, but then it had each call through the deal stage because then all of your you literally have your metrics there. So you just know where the gaps are.
Yep. And so we'll actually do a summary for the whole deal and be like, let's say you're using Medic or something like this. It'll automatically fill in your CRM. It'll tell you all the key people in the deal, what their roles are. And we have a chat GPT kind of interface. You can just ask questions of it and it'll actually point you to the right parts of the meeting. What are the top, are there any product blockers for this prospect? Oh yeah, there were three, and go watch these segments sort of thing. So there's like that. We're looking at doing what we call AI search, where you can just ask Fathom to find me, hey, find me any like positive moments from mid-market customers in the last 90 days. It can actually now do pretty impressive stuff across a really big set of meetings, and just opening up all sorts of really fun use cases for, again, for people that are not in the meetings, right? Like now we're playing to me as a sales manager 5, 10 years ago, where I was just struggling to get ambient awareness of what's happening on my team's calls. I feel like that's the thing I've always been panicked about as a founder. Is like there's something being said on these customer calls that I probably should be aware
Yeah.
about, right? Like new competitors, product feedback, people being
So true.
frustrated, pricing discussions going sideways. And we're very close to a world where all that stuff can just show up in your inbox at the end of the day. And you don't have to sit through 6 hours of meetings. You can sit through a 5-minute highlight reel and then feel like you have the omnipotence you need to basically run your business.
Do you know what is the funniest part about this whole conversation is the kind of this is funny. The spice to all of this is sales reps notoriously hate admin and them doing any of this is just like their biggest gap. So for a manager to if I could say to my back in the day when I was in SaaS and I was a SDR then an AE in like big finance companies, but if I could just turn to my manager and just be like, just check the deal view, it's all there, it's all summarized. I can't even imagine how easy my life would have been rather than just these constant Slack messages at Laura Skinner, can you send me your notes?
Yeah. We like say like, we're removing a lot of the work for folks on the meetings and they'll take notes. We're also removing a lot of browbeating from managers. When I was running the team, it's always like, can you take your notes? Can you get them in the CRM? By the way, still need you to fill in the CRM. I feel like that's
It
every
pains
single
me.
manager's. Yeah, everyone's got PTSD about that because no one liked doing that. I feel for the reps. It's not the fun part of the job. Didn't
No, of
really
course.
probably move the deal forward, right? So yeah, all that stuff kind of melts away now, and the ad just takes care of it. We can get back to sellers doing what they do best, which is
Just
digging
being on
for
the calls.
impact, digging for pain, selling, right? And not being data entry folks.
For sure. And this is all amazing, right? And I'm probably far too excited about this just because it would have changed my whole career, but that's fine. It's just a bit late. I've just grown up too quickly. Where have the challenges been then? There must have been some go-to-market challenges, right? From, I don't know, getting the messaging right to the top funnel to the bottom of the funnel. Like, where have they laid and like, how have you closed the gap on them?
I think every year we've had one crisis for another. I think in the
That's
first
nice
year
to hear.
oh yeah. The first year we launched, we were like one of the first apps on the Zoom app marketplace. And I think Zoom delivered us like 100,000 signups in the first 2 months, which sounds
Insane.
amazing, but we only had 100 daily active users out of that.
Oh,
And
right.
then,
Okay.
and like we kind of panicked and were like really freaked out. And then eventually we went and looked in the data and found out they were sending us a bunch of users that didn't actually use Zoom. It was
Okay.
like middle of the pandemic and they send us a bunch of free users and there's like people doing occasional Zoom happy hours, if you remember that
Yeah,
nonsense.
the family
Yeah.
quiz nights at 9
Yeah.
p.m. on a
Yeah.
Friday.
So it was like, that was one of these things like our dream came true. We got 100,000 signups. Yeah. Oh no, there's only 100 of them actually using it. So that was a crisis, but it led to some good learnings, helped us really improve our onboarding process because we had a lot of users that weren't the best users. It's tough to iterate websites and stuff with low traffic. So at least we had all high traffic. We could really dial that in. And I think the other big challenge was 2022, we raised a decent amount of money, but then the market really shifted and we were,
Yeah.
for the first 2 years, not generating any revenue and really just focused on growth. And then there's a very clear signal from the market around May of 2022 that said, no, we want businesses again, and you need to
Nice.
have revenue and you need to show growth and revenue growth too. Yeah, I'd say every year there's some big kind of crisis of conviction. I think what's been nice about this business is from day one, it's a product I could use myself and I could see the impact it has on my just work
So
life.
great.
And so it helps give you a lot of conviction to weather these kind of downturns because you're like, I don't know. Yeah, we may get things wrong here and there, but I know what this product can do because I know what it's done for me. And that just allows you
That's
to just put
conviction's
your head down and
everything.
keep going. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The conviction's everything, isn't it? Honestly, like especially if
Yep.
you're using it in your day to day, like it's just like non-negotiable then.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about, I know, so and correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is just what I'm picturing. The free platform, is that more of a self-serve place so people can just come and go
Mhm.
and sign up and don't need to have interaction with a sales rep? And then
Correct.
the more involving the managers, a more SMB mid-market enterprise sale where you're involving stakeholders, multi-threading the account and going through a typical B2B sales process. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And it's funny because ironically, we had this very easy 2-minute sign up process. And then we still do. And then when we launched our team mission product, our first paid product about 2 years ago, we made you have to talk to sales reps. Like it was 100% sales led. And partially we were selling the roadmap at that point because the market shifted and we had to get revenue, but we didn't yet have all the features that were on the roadmap slide, if you will. But partially also it was like I love doing things manually first. I like love doing things in an unscalable manual way that help us get more information. And so I actually had 3 of my best salespeople from my last company joined us before we ever were selling anything. And I said, hey, I need you to come in here. I have nothing for you to sell. You're a great salesperson. Nothing for you to sell yet. I want you to come in here, be a CSM, if you will, just get to know the product, get to know the users. And at some point, we're going to flip a switch and we're going to start selling a product to these folks. And you'll already be like really fully ramped. You'll really be really steeped in how this product works.
So
And that's exactly
such a
what
good way.
happened. Yeah. And so we hit the ground running with 3 great sales reps that were selling. And we learned so much from that in a way that we wouldn't have if self-service. And now, probably about 2/3 of that product is actually bought self-service, and 1/3 is like sales led. And that we're kind of shifting it down. But it was, again, I think most PLG companies are like, oh, we do everything self-service. But I was like, no, for this part, we're selling to managers. And you're right, sometimes it's multi-threaded, there's multiple stakeholders. Gosh, let's just give it our best shot first. And our best shot is talk to these great sales reps that we've got.
I honestly think that's probably the most pivotal thing that you could have done for your company because I think getting the right sales rep and on the other side of that, the opportunity cost of a mishire is just so great that you're almost de-risking that whole thing and just knowing that you've got that. So that's awesome. So before we wrap, as this has been, I love this. It's been super inspiring. What are your kind of key takeaways, key lessons learned in the sense that you've obviously been on this journey, it's been highly successful. You've broken through that real tough period that everyone went through and it's flying. So what can you share with the listeners that would be valuable?
So this is my second real startup, if you will. And if you've ever played video games, I think about it like playing Minecraft again. Like I feel like
Yeah,
startups
I
like
know.
Minecraft. So you kind of get dropped in this world. There's no rules. You're not sure if you're even playing a game, how you win. First time you play, it takes a long time to figure out like, oh, I got to punch a tree to get some wood to build a torch. But second time you do a startup, like speed running the game. Exactly. Like all these things that felt like open-ended questions or now feel like multiple choice questions, right? What's our first marketing channel going to be? What's our first hiring going to be? That sort of thing. And so I think what's really benefited us is partially the confidence I have doing the second time to just say, we're going to move fast, we're making quick decisions. Having said that, you don't have to get that confidence just from having done another startup for 10 years. I think I was early in this program called Y Combinator. I actually was one of the first employees in the first batch of this program, which now has gone on to fund people like Stripe and Airbnb and so on and so forth. And a lot of my friends 10, 15 years ago, the ones that were the most successful were the ones that just had the like, almost the like brash hubris to just say, I can solve any problem myself. I would often go, oh, I need to go talk to 10 people to make a decision about this because I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, and I don't know anything
It's
about
true
blank,
though.
right? And the ones that did really successful were just like, I don't know, I can figure this out from first principles. And those folks did better because it turns out just like making a decision quickly from first principles almost always beats anything else you can do at the early stage. And so I think that's the thing I always think about is, am I still operating from first principles, just making decisions quickly with the information I have? Or am I operating out of fear and trying to figure out the perfect solution and talking to 10 people and trying to build consensus? And so I think that's always what I lead on.
I honestly think that's one of the most kind of beneficial or valuable insights someone shared with us towards the latter end of the podcast, because I think that massively ties into like imposter syndrome when you're in your late 20s and early 30s, and what you're doing is just like you want to confirm and validate what you're doing is right. I'm 27 and I even have that through my sales process, right? I just want to make sure that I'm validating everything, and it's just, but you've done it and you've got the data and you've proved that you can do it, but it's just such a weird thing about the age thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think across all disciplines, whether you're a founder or you're in leadership position, there's just this, at some point you'll get this pull of imposter syndrome. Oh, I don't know enough to do this. But the
Yeah.
honest answer is like all this stuff, at some point, someone just made up a solution to it. And it's not, I actually think the best solutions are generally the ones where you tailor make them for your specific situation.
Totally
Because there
agree.
almost is no other comparable in the market to exactly what you're doing. So
Honestly, totally agree. What a way to finish. That's awesome. That does wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. I want to thank Richard for sharing his incredible journey and insights with us today. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.